Hello, Year 7. It's been a while since I've done this, so I've kind of forgotten what I'm supposed to do. Anyway, let's crack on and see if I remember. This week, I'm going to talk to you about apostrophes. Okay, apostrophes are one of those things in English that you probably learned way back in probably Year 2, Year 3? But every now and again, we need a reminder, a refresher, because I see some apostrophe mistakes creeping into your work, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, here's an example of some apostrophes in action. Now, if you can read that in my messy handwriting, it says, well, what does it say? It says, Anas's cups were overflowing with lots of water. He loves drinking water as it's lovely. But here's the thing, the apostrophes are all wrong. Every time there's an S at the end of a word, the person's used an apostrophe, which can't be right, can it? Surely we don't need to use an apostrophe every time we use an S. Of course we don't. Okay, we often use an S to show there's more than one of something. Okay, for example, there were 3 dogs in the park. You don't need an apostrophe there. That's just telling me there was more than one dog. Also, you don't need an apostrophe if you're saying he loves football, because loves is the verb. So what does an apostrophe do? I think that's where we need to work out. If we can work out what an apostrophe is supposed to do, just like in previous times we've worked out what a comma is supposed to do, and indeed what speech marks are supposed to do, then we'll be able to use it properly. I think the problem is we're not sure what apostrophes are for, so we use them sort of randomly to try and make sure that we don't make a mistake. So here is the sentences again, but with apostrophes in the correct place. Okay, now, Anas's cups were overflowing with lots of water. He loves drinking water as it's lovely. Now, we've gone from having 5 apostrophes to having 2. And that's intentional, because an apostrophe is only used for certain purposes, and they're demonstrated here. The apostrophe after the S with an as, and the apostrophe between the T and the S for it's lovely. So let's investigate why we use them. They're being used correctly, but why? Well, let's have a look. We use an apostrophe to show belonging. If something belongs to somebody, then you use an apostrophe. Fairly straightforward, right? So, here we have an example. To show belonging, Mr. Seal's can. Okay, here's my can. It belongs to me. Okay, so where should I put my apostrophe? Well, let me show you for the first time. The apostrophe goes between the L and the S. Mr. Seal's can. The apostrophe is connected to the S because it's showing that I own it. Okay? And that's the point of it. The apostrophe is showing that I own the can. That's its reason. So when we're using apostrophes, we should think to ourselves, am I saying that something belongs to somebody? Because if it is, then you use an apostrophe. Let's get another example. The teacher's stamp. There's my stamp. You probably recognized it from your books. There's my stamp. There's it in action. It belongs to me. It was given to me as a present by an old student of mine. So, the teacher's stamp. If it's my stamp, where should the apostrophe go? Shout at the screen now. Did you say between the R and the S? You're right, it's between the R and the S. Okay, the teacher's stamp. The stamp belongs to me. Okay, so it goes between the R and the S to show belonging. All right, but now you're thinking to yourself, I saw the first one, Mr. Seal, that first sentence you showed me, and there was an apostrophe after the S. So what does that mean? Well, if we're using it to show belongings, here's an as again. Okay, Anas's cups. Now, because his name ends in an S already, then we just put the apostrophe after the S. Okay? We don't need an extra S. If there's an S already there, his name ends in an S, Anas, Abbas, my best friend James. These are people whose names end in an S. So instead of putting an extra additional S, we just put it after the apostrophe. So if you're showing belonging and their name ends in S, you put it after the S. Okay? Hopefully you're getting all this information. The beauty of this is you can rewind to check it. Here's one extra one, just to mix us all up. What if something belongs to more than one person at a time? Say, for example, the boys' changing rooms. The boys' changing rooms. The changing rooms belong to many boys. Okay, not just one boy. The boys' changing rooms downstairs in PE. Or the boys' toilets. That's more than one boy. So again, what do we do? Let's see this example. The boys' changing rooms. Well, in this instance, because it ends in an S, and what do we know when something ends in an S? It goes after the S. Okay? So again, if you've got a plural and the word ends in an S, the apostrophe goes after the S. All right? And we're getting towards the end now. So apostrophes are used for belonging. Belonging. So if something belongs to somebody or something, Mr. Seal's chocolate bar. I'm looking forward to eating this when I'm finished. Mr. Seal's chocolate bar, the apostrophe goes between the L and the S of Seal's to show that it belongs to me. Looking forward to this. Belonging. Remember that. But there's one other reason to use an apostrophe. One other reason. Let's quickly go through it. You can use an apostrophe to show that letters are missing. So say letters go missing in a word, you can use apostrophes to show it. All right? So for example, the word cannot. The word cannot. Sometimes we can't be bothered saying cannot. We just want to say can't, don't we? We're a bit lazy. We want to say can't. So we take away the N and the O in cannot and put an apostrophe in to show that we've taken them away. Cannot to can't. It works for would not to wouldn't. The apostrophe stands for that missing O out of not. Okay? There's lots of them, isn't there? Okay? So we use them to show missing letters. So, 2 reasons to use apostrophes. Belonging, missing letters. Belonging, missing letters. If you're doing belonging, it goes between the L and the S, or the end of the word and the S. If their name ends in an S, it goes after the S. If it's more than one and it ends in an S, like the boys' changing rooms, after the S. And it can be used to show a missing letter. Cannot to can't. The apostrophe goes between N and the T to show the missing letters. All right? Perhaps we should write those rules down on a piece of paper. I know I've got your books, okay? Here, for example, is one piece of random paper from one of your books, okay? So I've got your books, so just on a piece of paper, write down the rules of apostrophes as you see it. Anyway, good luck in your exams. Hopefully this will be up soon, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.